what sincere thinking human being would say limiting government, protecting our rights, and spreading the idea of liberty is literally a matter of life and death? Excuse me while I puke. Welcome to the revolution, he says. Here's an article written by James Lewis, which I read and I agreed with. And to my horror, somebody immediately showed up and commented on it. And this article together with the comment immediately below it will illustrate the frustration I feel in regard to the future of the country. Here's the article. Today, for the first time in American history, we have two hardcore leftists running for the Democrat Party nomination. The left hasn't had this kind of chance for power since Truman defeated Henry Wallace in 1948. Hillary and Obama are Marx twins who only differ in race and gender. All the media tell us is how great it is to have a woman and a black man running for president. What these two really believe, where they learn their quasi-religion, where they derive their support, and who else they want to raise to power, and what they will do if they get there, all that doesn't even get discussed. All over the world, leftist hearts are leaping at Hillary Obama. Marxism lost the Cold War, right? The Soviet Empire came down, Eastern Europe was liberated, China is now semi-capitalist, and post-socialist countries like India are thriving like never before. More of the world is prospering because economic and political freedoms have spread since the USSR crumbled. Even Russia has a low, flat tax to encourage free markets. Indigenous talents and enterprise are finally being liberated, and the results are wonderful for hundreds of millions of people, writes James Lewis. I came to a lot of these conclusions on my own, and even made videos along these lines. And here's an article that seems to have been written in advance of the education that I received the hard way. I didn't read this until today. I have a video called The Mother Earth Cult. I have videos about economics. I have videos about global warming. I have videos about socialism, Marxism, which is the same thing. And this article encapsulates most of what I have put into my last 170 or so videos on YouTube over the past year. Back to the article, he says tens of millions of ordinary people in China and India are doing too well. The elites seem to yearn for the good old days, the famines in India, the massacres in Russia and China, and that wonderful sense of being in charge of human progress. That's what the elites long for. In spite of years and years of leftist catastrophes, our organs of propaganda are still tilted drunkenly to the left. Crypto-Marxism, a barely disguised revival of the old farce, is flourishing in our chattering classes. The prestige that Marxism lost in the real world soon came back in fantasy. Oh, if people only loved one another. Oh, if people only cared. Oh, if we only had real solidarity with the wretched of the earth. That's the feel-good story. But the real yearning is for power. Oh, if only people like us were in charge of everything. In Britain, under the daily pounding of the Bolshevik, the most admired philosopher of all time is now blood-dripping old Karl Marx. Freedom is routinely trashed. Thieving tyrants like Hugo Chavez are celebrated. Crypto-Marxism, crypto meaning hidden, is a useful word to describe what's happened in the last 20 years, because as soon as the Soviet Union, and I want you to notice as I read this, we're talking about the Cold War between the West and the Soviet Union, between capitalism and communism, against the theories of Marx. I want you to notice that there is no mention whatsoever in this article, and you won't hear me mentioning it as part of my political belief system, my take of reality. You will not hear me ever mentioning New World Order, Illuminati, international bankers, Rothschilds. You will not hear any of this from me. I want you to notice that none of this appears in this article, and I want you to notice that in G. Edward Griffin's interviews, such as his interview with Norman Dodd, D-O-D-D, and with the Soviet defector Bezimov, you will hear nothing about Illuminati, New World Order, Bohemian Grove. You won't hear any of the crap spouted by Alex Jones. That is a distinct difference between reality and the phony world, the fantasy world, the hallucinatory world of Ron Paul. And that's why I'm very concerned to find underneath this article, with which I agree, a comment by someone who is actually glomming on and attempting to infiltrate conservatives. The Paultards, the Ronbots, are not conservatives. The Ronbots and the Paultards have nothing in common with Ronald Reagan. The Cold War was about communism, not Bohemian Grove. The Loch Ness Monster is more believable than the crap put out by Alex Jones, who is the only reason anybody has ever heard of Ron Paul. And nobody would have heard of Alex Jones except for the 9/11 Truth Movement. And in my sincere opinion, the 9/11 Truth Movement is propaganda put out by the leftists, the socialists, the communists, the Marxists, whatever you want to call them. This article calls them crypto-Marxists. The lies about, the fantasies about UFOs and Planet X and Nibiru and all kind of cockamamie BS, including Bohemian Grove, Council on Foreign Relations, all this stuff, everything spouted by, with the exception of global warming. That's the only thing that Alex Jones tells the truth about. And I suppose the reason he knows that global warming is a hoax is because he's in touch with the hoaxers themselves, who have realized that their hoax is being uncovered and found out, and so taking advantage of spin, they are pretending to lead the charge to expose the hoax that they foisted upon the world originally.